Banjul, and this is GRTS News. We are live broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. On the top of the news, major preparations underway ahead of the grand launching of President Barrow's National People's Party. Top officials of the National Roads Authority present their 2019 annual activity report and financial statement to the Public Enterprise Committee of the National Assembly. The Gambia Standards Bureau concludes a seminar on popularizing compressed earth blocks as environmentally friendly building materials in the Central River region. And in sports, the Gambia Football Federation Division 2 League enters the third week with Jambanjeli United maintaining their 100% start to the season. Plus, Beijing calls on Washington to chart a new course on China as the White House foreign policy comes into focus. Well, these and much more coming ahead in this edition of the news. I am Aissatou Keita, and thanks for joining us. Many thanks for joining us. We begin this news bulletin with major preparations ahead of the anticipated launching of President Barrow's National People's Party, scheduled to take place tomorrow Saturday at the Independence Stadium in Bakau. Key among the day's highlights will be the unveiling of the party's manifesto. Afatu Elika Mulushib visited the stadium earlier to observe preparations, and she caught up with members of the logistics team and as well sought the thoughts of some members of the public.
Well, tomorrow, the 30th of January, is the date slated for the inauguration of the National People's Party, which is the NPP, the party of the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow. Well, from what we've seen, preparation is in high gear, and the people are taking all the measures required to make tomorrow's event a success. We spoke to NOC, and they're very much anticipating what is going to unfold in tomorrow's event.
Big things. There'll be so much razzmatazz, so much passion. Because you see, one I always like to remind the people is that the NPP was formed by the people. It was the people who, in the 2019 Meet the People store, 2019-2020 Meet the People store, it was the people who urged the president to form his party. And when he came on the last day of that tour in Banjul, he announced that he was going to establish a party. And with the people that believe in him, the people that believe in his governance policies, with the people that believe in his stance for good governance, we came together and then we registered the party last year. So we are glad that finally, we are able to launch it tomorrow, inshallah, and it's going to be, I guess, one of the biggest events politically this country has ever seen.
Among the highlights of the program is the unveiling of the party's manifesto, of course, and the address by our Secretary General Party leader, that's the President, and introducing him to the Gambian people and to the world as our flag bearer for December 4, 2021 elections. We'll also have various speakers, including our party officials across the length and breadth of the country, and of course as well from our allied partners and also members of the diaspora. Those are some of the highlights. And then we'll also accord the opportunity of Gambians musicians to showcase their talent and other artists. You know, also we are proud to say that all that we have done here in our organization is purely Gambians and done by Gambians.
Well, the capacity of this stadium is about 15,000, bearing in mind that the Red Pavilion will not be occupied by people. Logically, the President and entourage sits right after this Red Pavilion. So for security reasons, people cannot occupy that space. Now, the NOC is aware of the fact that they are anticipating over 50,000 people. From what we've gathered, it is not possible for the stadium to be able to hold this capacity. So they're going to place screens outside the gate of the stadium for those who will not be able to access the grounds. We spoke to them also about COVID-19 precautionary measures, bearing in mind that we are in a global pandemic dealing with a virus that is highly contagious and deadly. The NOC did say that they are aware of the risks posed by COVID-19, and they've put in measures to make sure that every single person that accesses this venue is wearing a face mask.
Every other person will, of course, put on their mask as instructed by our party leader and also by our Safety and Health Committee, and also to come, we do the convergence with peace, and also urge on every Gambian, especially our supporters, to be civil in their political discourse.
What is being anticipated is a highly euphoric crowd with loads of amusement. And the most important thing is going to be the manifesto of the National People's Party, which they would be unveiling at tomorrow's event. We also spoke to the ushers who would be, of course, ushering the guests to their respective seats. They're here and going through all the necessary training to make sure that they put up the best professional conduct necessary for tomorrow's event.
Let's expect something that Gambia never had before. That's what we're going to have tomorrow. We're going to have something that we've never had before. Entertainment, everything will be here tomorrow, inshallah, by the grace of Allah.
To put everything into context, we spoke to the general manager of the Independence Stadium and the Friendship Hotel.
Well, our role is to advise them to ensure that they meet the protocols and measures put in place by the WHO and Ministry of Health, and we did that in our letter reply to them.
We also gauged the perception of the people about tomorrow's inauguration, and this was what they had to say.
Yeah. He decided to launch it at the Independence Stadium. Yes. Because ever since I love the president, and from the bottom of my heart, he's a good leader, and he's a good president of this country.
With the whole pandemic stuff, perhaps he could wait. Yeah, he could wait, or it could be, in the form of a low key,
Yes, from my side, he deserves to launch his party.
Why do you say?
Yes, because he's kind, and he's trying his best, and he's a Gambian. Yeah.
Well, one thing is for certain. Tomorrow's event, which is going to be the grand launch of the NPP party, is going to hold successfully, according to the NOC. One thing for certain is that they're hopeful that this is going to be the biggest inauguration of a party ever seen in the history of Gambian politics. What is going to go exactly as planned tomorrow would definitely reveal. Reporting for GRTS News, Fatu Eli Kamuloshi.
Well, to expand more on tomorrow's luncheon, we were earlier joined in the studio by Mr. Esa Damfa, a member of the NPP, who spoke to us on the general preparatory mode ahead of the historic event. Let's take a listen.
There's a lot of excitement and anticipations about tomorrow's event. It's a very historic event. Historic in a sense, since the attainment of independence of this country, great country, the Gambia. What was norm is like top-bottom approach when it comes to political activities. Political elites will sit in their offices or their various places and register a party, and also filter it down to the grassroots supporters to embrace it. But for NPP, it's like a bottom-top approach. We started from the grassroots. The grassroots people are the one who later registered this party, and just put it into the elites up there. So, the Gambian people will converge tomorrow to celebrate that historical moment. And you will see people across length and breadth of this country, they will come in their numbers to grace tomorrow's historic occasion.
Okay. Now, who are some of the guests invited to this grand launching?
Yeah, cognizant with the fact that there's a pandemic, that is going on, so we restricted our invitations to the Gambian authority and the Gambian living in diaspora. But we did not invite any other dignitaries who come from other countries, because we know there's a lot of restriction when it comes to traveling. But locally here, we invited all political parties. Eventually we submitted all the invitation cards. About 15 registered political parties that received their invitation as we speak, and many other dignitaries that will willing to attend this inauguration, including the foreign diplomats residing in this country, and other individuals, respectable characters residing in this country, being political players, business community, religious community, civil society organizations. You just name a few, all expected to grace these magnificent occasions tomorrow.
Okay, the party is also set to unveil its manifesto. Tell us more about this and some of the preparatory mode already on the ground.
Thank you very much. I don't want to preempt everything, but more important part of our manifesto, which will be unveiled tomorrow, is like, we are not just coming to play, just to add the numbers. MPP is not just coming to be a registered as political party, just to add numbers. But we can be against to change the narrative. We want to totally change the narrative. What was norm here in this country? It's like the parties will only say sort of things, but internal democracy will not strengthen it. You will see similar faces, the same faces, reimagine over and over. Applying to be the party flag bearers, in other people, will be occupying party's positions for a decade long. So that really is not entail much about when it comes to internal democracy. But for NPP, we're going to strengthen in that one. You cannot be surfacing every time for the same position. That should be change of position holding when it comes to party positions. Okay. And also, we're going to strengthen in democracy. And we also want to make sure to institutionalize this party. Okay. Party will not only be just clapping, dancing, and go like that. We have to orient people, sensitize people, acknowledge, inculcate civic rights and limitations, so that everybody know your limits, where to start and where to begin. So this party is going to be an institution where everybody will learn, our manifesto will be circulated and will be ushered to everybody to know exactly what are the principles of the parties. So just to name a few, there's a lot of whole lot of things that we're going to unveil on our manifesto tomorrow, inshallah. Okay. Thank you very much. There's a lot of excitement. And
Damfa of the National People's Party speaking to me earlier on tomorrow's event. Let's turn to parliamentary matters now, as top officials of the National Roads Authority earlier this morning presented their 2019 annual activity report and financial statement to the Public Enterprise Committee of the National Assembly for scrutiny, while Fatu Janembai witnessed the proceedings and she files in this report.
The board and management of the National Roads Authority spent the Friday defending their 2019 audited activity report and financial statement. The documents were scrutinized by the members of the National Assembly Public Enterprise Committee. The NRA reports highlighted their operations during the year under review, which comes with successes and challenges. Halifa Salah is the chair of the Public Enterprise Committee.
The objective of presenting the activity report and financial statement is to enable us to know exactly what the authority had done to construct roads, maintain them, ensure safety, and ensure the longevity of the roads.
The board and management of the National Roads Authority were questioned on its nomenclature, which was initially referred to as the Gambia Road and Technical Services Authority. Abdul Koli, the acting chair of the board of directors of the National Road Authority, explains.
GRA, when the proposal came to cabinet, I recall, because then I was around, cabinet decided that instead of calling it Gambia Roads Authority, let's call it National Roads Authority. It is the 2007 amendment that brought about this change in nomenclature.
The National Road Authority is given the responsibility of ensuring that our roads are constructed and maintained. It is also charged with the responsibility to indicate and prepare professional designs and contract documents for all civil engineering and architectural works, a mandate they have been striving to meet as highlighted in their 2019 reports. Mamadou Senghor is Managing Director of NRA.
Well, when you come to the hierarchy, primary roads carry more traffic than secondary, urban, and tertiary, in a sense. And the importance of the road, it's also, what matters. Primary roads are the ones, if I may say, are more important than the other ones in terms of not only trafficability, but also not only the volume, based on the volume, but also for economic reasons.
Despite the successes at the National Road Authority, the National Assembly members were concerned with some challenges the authorities faced in 2019, as captured in the authorities' report. Concerns were also recognized by the external auditors.
Funds. And this stalled the progress on some of our projects. So it is good that we engage the authority to look at, identify those projects. This is a general statement indicating the difficulties, but it will be important to have specific complaints identified, and then we see what to do about it.
The scrutiny of the National Roads Authority's 2019 Audited Activity Report and Financial Statement by the National Assembly members continues, as they were unable to endorse the authority's report on Friday. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Fatu Janimbai.
Well, now to the Central River region, where the Gambia Standards Bureau has concluded a public awareness engagement with stakeholders on the 7 standards set aside by the Bureau on the use of compressed earth blocks as environmentally friendly construction materials. Modu Lamin Sane reports that 20 participants from the earth block fraternity took part in the seminar.
Officials of the Gambia Standard Bureau are engaging producers of compressed earth block with a committed objective to develop and publish 7 national standards for compressed earth bricks. The idea, supported by the International Trade Center, aims to standardize the process of making compressed earth blocks, which are still used to construct houses in the Gambia.
The Gambia Standards Bureau and the Technical Committee also have a special package. That special package is not coming today. If you look at the banner, you will see the GAMS 33, the last standard, which is masonry in masonry, which the masoners will enjoy because where the standard is published, even by just looking at the book. You don't even need anybody to teach you. All the illustration, the drawings are there. You will see it, how you can do it with yourself. You can even teach yourself. Mixture, everything will be there. So that will come at a special package. So it has a code of practice, and this would be the center of discussion.
In the Central River region, the Bureau gathered 20 participants to sensitize them on the draft standard document and also define the framework for the process.
Decided to get this service standardized so that everybody using it will use the same method. And additionally, we all know it is not sustainable to be getting the sand and the cement for construction. Some people could afford it, but not everybody can afford it. So if we have an alternative, which is even stronger than the cement block, which not many people can afford, and also cheaper than the cement block that people cannot afford, and we have the resources here, why don't we explore it?
This scheme is a vital move towards standardization, which officials say will help to put in place a basic code of practice for the use of compressed earth block.
Standards, once they are developed, they do not belong to the Gambia Standards Bureau. They do not belong to the community development. They belong to the whole nation. And then in that, we will all have a Gambia where everybody lives in a very safe house and a very cheap house, and then that can enhance a lot in the person's development.
The community engagement, which targets all stakeholders in the Gambia, is expected to pave the way for more input for 7 national standards set to be finalized as a guide for building of compressed earth block and its use for construction. Modu Lamin Sane reporting for GRTS News from the Central River region.
We will stay in the Central River region as the communities of Nyamina, Kudang and Sotokoi are the latest to benefit from modern beekeeping materials donated by the large-scale ecosystem-based adaptation project. Suma Jadama is currently traveling with the team and now reports.
This handing over of beekeeping materials by EBA project to the Nyamina East settlement of Kudang and Sotokoi is an opportunity to mitigate climate change as well as accelerate the economic condition of beneficiary communities. The Monitoring and Evaluation Officer of EBA project, Dr. Keba Sima, lauded the timeliness of the gesture.
This is a very important program for EBA, and it will contribute to the sustainability of the project, as you have said. When the project goes, it's the people themselves, it's the groups, the associations that are supposed to take over, the reins of these enterprises, the management of the enterprises, the upkeep of the enterprises, to ensure that it is sustainable so that they can get best livelihood options out of it.
Dr. Sima further stressed the need for a robust stakeholder participation to implement the activities of the project.
Officers within the PMU level who will be coming on a regular basis to visit these communities, to visit the enterprises, to do some constructive exchanges with them, to discuss with them around their enterprises, the progress they have made, what achievements they have made, what are some of the key challenges, some of the lessons learned, and how do we, put our heads together to move forward in terms of getting more gains, from those enterprises.
Hatab Kamara is a representative of Forestry Department.
Beekeeping as an enterprise, the value of it to the community livelihood improvement and also on the forest cover improvement is key, because one, beekeeping at any point in time, for instance in the community forest, when there is beekeeping in the community forest, the area where they identify to have beekeeping in, that area is always protected.
Beekeeping is one of the enterprise schemes that can be derived from the forest without harming the environment.
We have already given promise to the communities, that is, come and manage your forest base. If you manage your forest, then we will transfer the ownership from the government to you. Then there you will take it up. It doesn't stop from there. We promise to them that the management of forest cover bring a lot of benefit to the community, especially community livelihood. So such livelihood for the communities to realize the maximum benefit of the forest cover, for the forest resources, we must train them in the marketing aspect of it also as well. So that marketing aspect, this brought in the beekeeping, handicraft, fruits and nuts, and also ecotourism.
Similar presentation continues in Yorobel Kunda. Suma W. Jadama reporting for GRTS.
Meanwhile, in the Lower and North Bank regions, a charitable non-governmental organization dubbed Mobeta Foundation has donated medical equipment, teaching and learning materials to a number of institutions. The items were presented to beneficiary institutions as a ceremony held in Mansa Konko. Alajimbai has the details.
The donated materials, including delivery beds, wheelchairs, first aid equipment, file cabins, tables, boards, stretchers, as well as furniture and equipment for fire and rescue officers, were handed over to the Rural Development Institute, Soma District Hospital, Farafenye General Hospital, School of Community Health Nurses, Soma and Farafenye Fire and Rescue Offices, as well as the Regional Red Cross offices in the Lower River and North Bank regions. The materials, according to the representative of the foundation, Usman Sonko, is part of a series of supports the foundation is giving to communities and institutions in the Gambia.
Mobeta Foundation is a foundation registered in the Gambia, but the donors of the foundation are based in Belgium. And our relationship with Mobeta Foundation started through the Antwerp-Banjul Challenge, because the same foundation is supporting provision of water supply and even establishment of a vegetable garden for the people of Kunting in Central River Region North. So as part of the Antwerp-Banjul Challenge activities, the foundation supported the community to provide water supply and establishment of vegetable garden for the community. So within that framework,
representatives of various beneficiary institutions, including Seni Diba of Farafenye General Hospital and the principal of RDI, Alassana Minte, took turn to thank the donors for the gesture, saying it will improve service delivery at their various institutions.
Looking at Farafenye General Hospital, we are receiving referral from 10 peripheral hospitals, including the Soma Major Health Center as well as other health facilities within the Lower River region and North Bank region. So I've been here today to receive these donations. It's not only for Farafenni General Hospital or North Bank region, but LRR and CRR North, as well as not the entire North Bank region. So we thank you very much for this kind gesture.
They came at a time when they are most needed. So I want to make it known to the organizers that they have indeed addressed one of our biggest problems as far as Eritrea is concerned. And I believe other beneficiaries also will benefit from the materials that are going to be given to them.
The student president of the Rural Development Institute, Bakari Jane, said the materials given to his school will enhance teaching and learning.
These materials will go a long way in facilitating learning process in area, because if you look at it, the chairs that we have here and other materials are not enough. So we really need the support of not only the government but all other stakeholders like this initiative. So on behalf of the students, I am saying a very big thank you to Mr. Sonko and all other partners for this initiative.
Beneficiaries are advised to ensure proper utilization and upkeep of the donated materials for durability. Alajambai, GRTS News.
The campaign on the use of the efficient cooking stove, jointly organized by the Ministry of Energy and the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, has reached the North Bank region settlement of Kerawan. The use of the improved efficient cook stove can bring about significant household safety. By Ibrahim Cham has the details.
As the campaigners of the efficient cook stoves entered the North Bank region, the scars of deforestation were clearly visible. This is evidence of excessive logging, charcoal production and bushfires. However, the campaigners from the Energy Ministry and UNIDO, Advocacy and Distribution on Efficient Cook Stoves, locally called the Frono Jambar, is aimed at minimizing the aggressive use of the woodland. Staged at Kerawan, the administrative capital of the North Bank region, the governor, Lamin Sedikan, played the host.
It's a very good thing. The government is showing us that they are doing something to discourage the use of our forests, so that the forest should be protected, because when the forest is protected, it helps. You know, we all know that climate change is a challenge for every country. So this is one of the things that the government is initiating to discourage use of charcoal and firewood.
The Energy Ministry is making use of the agricultural waste by transforming granite and coconut shells to bricks that can substitute charcoal in the use of efficient cook stoves.
Now, a way to encourage people to move away from the use of charcoal is to encourage the use of briquettes. Briquettes produced from agricultural waste such as granite shells, coconut shells, and it's estimated that in the Gambia annually we produce enough agricultural waste which, if transformed into briquettes, can replace 50% of our charcoal use in the country.
Annually, North Bank region suffers from numerous windstorms due to the cutting of trees, which are supposed to serve as a shield for communities.
Tree cutting, cause high rate of windstorm in North Bank region. Like the recent record we have over 900 households that are affected. This translates to number of people, it goes over 10,000 people that are affected in North Bank region.
The peak of the campaign is the raffle draw, where lucky winners take home an efficient cook stove. We took the opportunity and spoke to Suare Kante, president of the Seed Bank Association, on the plight of women with regards to the use of charcoal and firewood. As the talk continues, Janjanbureh, the administrative capital of the Central River region, will host the Efficient Cook Stove campaign on the 27th of January 2021. Reporting for GRTS News, I'm by Ibrahim Chan.
The Imam Buhari Center for Islamic Studies and Humanitarian Gesture on Thursday handed over a well-furnished 6-classroom block with an office to the community of Jalamba in the West Coast region. The project, as Khadija Tujala reports, is estimated at $1.5 million and is aimed at promoting the teaching and learning of Islam for children.
أسرى بعبده ليلا
الحرام.
This Islamic school is built by Imam Buhari Center as part of efforts to support communities and complement government's effort. The president of the humanitarian organization, Muhammad Ibrahim Sise, said the piece of land was allocated by one Nafis Sanyang, whose intention was to build a mosque and an Islamic school, but she is not financially strong to fulfill her dreams. Sise further explained that with support from their sponsors, his organization has now made Nafis' dream a reality by building these 6 classroom blocks for the people of Jalambang.
Yirudole be lorinjang diningol be karangola o yirole koto kabila ya sen o en sondo momma bake.
The PRO of Imam Buhari, Babu Njai, said the objective of the humanitarian body is to improve lives and livelihoods of the citizenry with a specific attention to children.
Almost $1.5 million has been spent in this project. And we all know that this project is very, very important because it's an Islamic school. And this is where we normally mold our children so that tomorrow they can become future leaders of this country. So if Imam Buhari come up with this initiative here, I think the people of Jalambang and the surroundings today, they are very, very happy.
Usman Jata, Bakari Jata, and Hadijatu Jabi, on behalf of Nafi Sanyang and the people of Jalambang, all express appreciation to Imam Buhari for the gesture and assured them of taking ownership of the project. Islamic scholars at the gathering took turns to share words of wisdom on the importance of teaching children their religion to help in their upbringing. Imam Buhari's Secretary General, Sofian Drame, and Mukhtar Sambu urged those in charge of the school to ensure that it is registered with Amana so that the school will get the necessary support from government in terms of curriculum and qualified teachers so as to provide quality teaching and learning. Ibadur Rahman Islamic Primary School is the latest intervention by Imam Buhari Center for Islamic Studies and Humanitarian Foundation in their quest to improve lives and livelihoods of Gambians. Khadijatu Jallow reporting for GRTS News.
Well, time now for a break. Sports news is up next. Don't go away. Welcome back. And in sports, the Gambia Football Federation Division 2 League enters the 3rd week. Jambanjeli United maintained their 100% start to the season with a 3rd consecutive win, making them the only team in the league to do so. In the other games, Bombardier defeated Serekunda East by 4-1, and Team Rhino registered their first win of the season with a 3-2 win over B4U Kiang West. Latrikunda United and Red Hawks played out a goalless stalemate, while in the game of the week, Falcons came back from 3-1 down to register a remarkable 4-3 win over Gunjur United in a 7-goal thriller. While GRTS Sports will continue to bring you more updates as the league progresses. And to other news around the world, beginning in Nigeria, in the U.S., where President Joe Biden's presidency, just 2 weeks into President Joe Biden's first term, and the White House is rolling out its domestic foreign policy, giving a glimpse of what is to come. China has been urging the U.S. to chart a new course. We have details in this CGTN News report.
Is America's day. This is democracy's day, a day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve.
A new White House means a new approach from the U.S. government. But one Trump-era policy reared its head on Thursday during the confirmation of Biden's Secretary of State, Antony Blinken.
My judgment remains that genocide was committed against the Uyghurs, and that hasn't changed.
Blinken's predecessor, Mike Pompeo, said in the last days of the Trump administration, China has been carrying out a genocide in Xinjiang. It was a claim Beijing officials have repeatedly rejected. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian spelled it out once again on Thursday after Blinken's confirmation.
There is no genocide.
There is no genocide. There is no genocide, period.
Cui Tiankai, China's ambassador to the United States, called on the Biden administration to take a more harmonious approach.
It is hoped that the two sides will uphold the spirit of non-conflict as well as non-confrontation and mutual respect with each other.
During his confirmation, Blinken said Beijing and Washington could work together on tackling climate change, and Biden has delayed a ban on American investments in companies alleged to have ties with the Chinese military, lifting some Trump policies while leaving others in place. That includes what the U.S. calls freedom of navigation operations. The White House sent an aircraft carrier group to the South China Sea over the weekend, drawing criticism from Beijing over territorial integrity. Timothy Ulrich, CGTN.
While in Nigeria, no fewer than 120,000 children died annually from pneumonia. This according to new reports from aid agencies, Save the Children's International. Pneumonia infection is common among children aged 5 and below and is a leading cause of childhood death in Nigeria. Let's take a listen.
Bello is in hospital with her son, Mohammed, for a follow-up visit with his doctor. The 4-year-old had pneumonia and was admitted for over a week. Though out and recovering now, it was a torturous experience for the little boy.
He can't sleep well because of catarrh, serious catarrh. Then there's temperature, his running temperature, like 2 days. So I just said, let's come to the hospital because you cannot take things for granted. So we just rushed to the hospital, they admitted us emergency, and they take good care of him.
Pneumonia is a life-threatening infection that inflames the air sacs in the lungs. The burden of pneumonia in children is still very high in Nigeria. Statistics from Save the Children puts the number of deaths at 120 yearly, making Nigeria the highest contributor to global deaths.
The vaccine uptake all over the world, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, is a problem. People don't want to take vaccines, and these are things that can actually prevent children from coming down with pneumonia. Consider rural areas where mothers are cooking. The baby is strapped at the back, you understand, and is cooking with firewood. So all the smoke that is coming from there is equally going to the baby that is at the back of the mother.
In Nigeria, it costs no less than $50 for the treatment of mild cases of pneumonia and twice as much for severe cases. That's a huge financial burden for the 40% of Nigerians who live below poverty line. The health risks are higher now that the country faces its second wave of the coronavirus.
We need to prevent infection by regular washing of our hands, and cough etiquette is very, very important. It's more important now that we now have another important viral agents out there, COVID, because they are all respiratory problems. So the best thing is for the children not to even have symptoms that will look like pneumonia, because if a child has a symptom that looks like pneumonia now, everybody will think is COVID.
The UN's Children's Agency, UNICEF, projects that without timely intervention, up to 2 million children could die from pneumonia in the next decade. Health workers are looking to government and its international partners to scale up intervention efforts to avert more deaths in the coming years. Kelechi Emekalam, CGTN Abuja, Nigeria.
And South Africa's government has launched a nearly $8 million fund aimed at reviving the country's falling tourism industry. The Tourism Equity Fund will also be used to help black entrepreneurs start business and projects in the sector. Let's take a listen.
Independent businesses have suffered major economic losses as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Amongst other things, land border closures and travel restrictions have meant fewer holidaymakers are making their way here to South Africa. The tourism industry is regarded as one of the key contributors to this country's economy.
Tourism directly accounts for 2.9 thereabouts of South Africa's GDP. And they also account for 8.6% indirectly. Now, this industry supports about 1.5 million direct and indirect jobs. This is a sector that is, in the main, labor intensive and therefore has immense job creation potential. It supports a vibrant and complex value chain.
President Cyril Ramaphosa was speaking during the virtual launch of the Tourism Equity Fund. The fund will be used in particular to help black entrepreneurs enter the tourism sector with better ease.
If the tourism industry is to play its role in aiding the economic recovery in the wake of COVID-19, it must grow and transform. So this effort that we are all about today is going to contribute to this sector growing, but at the same time it must transform. A fund that facilitates the participation of black entrants, but also more importantly, facilitate the entrance of women enterprises and persons with disabilities.
Small black-owned businesses in the tourism sector can, in the next 3 years, receive funding to elevate their enterprises. During the launch of the fund, the president emphasized that while the COVID-19 lockdown has had a devastating effect on the tourism sector, he's confident that it will bounce back because of its resilient nature.
Tourism will come back, as it has always come back in the past. It will continue to contribute in an immense way to the economy of our country.
The South African Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, a plan touted to revive the country's economy, has identified the tourism industry as one of the major priority areas. Yulisa Njamela for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Well, we leave it at that, but before we go, a look at our top stories once again. Major preparations are underway ahead of the grand launching of President Barrow's National People's Party. Top officials of the National Roads Authority have presented their 2019 annual activity report and financial statement to the Public Enterprise Committee of the National Assembly. The Gambia Standards Bureau has concluded a seminar on popularizing compressed earth blocks as environmentally friendly building materials in the Central River region. And in sports, the Gambia Football Federation Division 2 League has entered the third week with Jambanjelly United maintaining their 100% start to the season. Beijing is calling on Washington to chart a new course on China as the White House foreign policy comes into focus. Well, that was all in today's edition of the news. Well, from me and the entire news team, we want to thank you for the pleasure of your company and stay tuned to watching GRTS. Do have a pleasant night.